Hi crafty friends, welcome back to Crafting with the Gringas. In today's video we have a DIY phone stand. This is the phone stand that I'm using right now to record my video and my tutorial. I know some of you out there are just beginning and you're just starting out and you don't have the resources to buy some of these fancy phone stands and things like that, which are nice, and don't get me wrong, this is not going to be a substitute for that 100% because it's a little bit hard to work with. Let me show you. I have made one and I'm making another one for shorts right now just so I can do that. And so I've just got, this is what my little phone stand looks like. I've got my can and my selfie stick, and I've just made a couple little crochet decorations so that it looks pretty, which is also optional. You don't have to put paper on this. All you really need are the can, the rocks, the selfie stick, and that will work just perfect as well. I just like to pretty everything up, mostly because my front room's my craft space, and so whenever somebody comes to visit, they automatically see my craft space, so I've got to make it as pretty as I can. But so for this project, I have some rocks, I have a can. This was from refried beans, but you can use whichever can you want. I do suggest it be a little bit on the larger side. So we've got our can of rocks. Our selfie stick's very important. Without that we can't do it, so we need the can, the rocks, and the selfie stick. And then I'm also going to be using this paper and this contact paper that's like plastic sheet, and then I'll also be using some yarn scraps. So this is also a way that we can use those itty bitty little yarn scraps. If you see it in this one this one is the one that I made, and it's the whole reason for the video is I adjusted it for a shorts and then I can't get it back to how I had it so I could film with it. This is a little bit too bulky and it's showing up in my videos. So I just decided to make a new one, and then this I can repurpose to something else in my house. And so, but I have it filled with yarn scraps as well. Just wherever you can put yarn scraps is great. So so what I'm going to do is get my pliers. I believe that's what those are called. I'm not a tool person, but you just want something that's going to be able to pinch over those edges to make sure that you're not going to cut yourself. And when you're washing your can, make sure that if you have like a bottle washer or something, you can wash out, or just be very careful of this edge when you're washing it, because when you get your hand in there you can cut yourself. So be very, very careful. This is definitely, if you are an adult, that's just fine. If you're a child, you're gonna want to have a parent or another adult to help you with this step, like the washing and that of the can, just because we don't want anybody to get cut. So I'm almost done here, just finishing that up. Okay, so mine's all done. Oh, and I'm also going to be using some double-sided tape. You don't have to use double-sided tape to put your stuff on. And I've also got a little bit of normal tape, so a little bit of clear tape. You also don't really have to use that either. Just gonna get these rocks out of the way for a minute. Not my normal tutorial, so it's a little different, but it's fun. So I'm just going to get some of my double-sided tape and just place it on my can. Like I say, you can place your paper on your can and then tape it down. That's also completely fine. I love double-sided tape. So I use it often. So I feel like it's just a handy thing to have if I can get it. The only bad thing is it is a little tricky sometimes to get it off the little film that it comes with to get off. Okay, so we've got that. You want to see if your paper has a top or bottom. You just want to make sure which side you want to place it on so that you don't place it wrong. I'm just going to place mine. This doesn't really have a lot, but if you do have a paper that's one-sided, like one direction, you're going to want to make sure that that gets on the top, like so that when you put it like this and the top's up, so like right here the butterflies are going to be facing up like normal. Okay, so I'm just going to get another bit of this tape and put it on the end. Okay, and then we're just going to want to make sure that our paper is as taut as we can get it. We don't want it to be loose, and then we can just roll it to close that off. Okay, mine's a little bit sideways, it'll be fine. Okay, so let's get our scissors, and we can just make a couple little cuts in this. Just make sure that you don't pass the can. So we'll want to just do like, let's say like to there. Just a few little cuts real fast, like that, so that it make it a little easier to fold it over. We're going to do that on both sides, on the top part, and we're also going to do that on the bottom. Like, it's not too finicky, just enough to be able to fold it over later. So this top part, I'm just going to start folding them over. Okay, that's where I'm going to just get either the double-sided tape or just a little bit of normal tape just to hold that down. The funny thing is it's gonna sound funny, but I actually have these like similar all over my house because I use these in my kitchen. Like I use it as a phone stand as well, so even if you're not interested in like filming, you can use this in your kitchen as a phone stand. I've made a couple for my boys, my older boys as well, and they just come in handy. So now we can tape the bottom just a little bit. Since I'm going to be putting the contact paper, I'm not going to tape it super a lot just because I want to make sure that, like, I just want to keep those in place while I place the contact paper down. And so just going to fold those over a little bit, and it's a little bit hard to see, but just secure the ends down here just a little bit. And like I say, if you can skip this part if you're not interested in putting paper on it. Like I say, I have several that I've crocheted around. I just wanted to make this one very thin so that I didn't have any problems with it showing up like as thin as possible on this edge, because that's kind of the issue I had with my other one. They're perfect. It's perfect to crochet. I've used them a lot. If like this one that I've made, this works perfect. That'll stand like for your kitchen or for a side table. You can prop your phone up with it. If you're watching tutorials, you can, and crocheting or working on a project, you can prop your phone up. I've spent a lot of time watching Gilmore Girls or or a series or tutorials. So yeah, just watching. I'll either be watching YouTube or a series on my phone, and so I'll just prop my phone up, and then that way my children get to watch what they want on TV, and I got my headphones in or watching my show, whatever it is that I decide that I want to watch. Now I'm going to place my contact paper on. Like I say, this is optional. If you've got some thick tape, you can also put that. You can put rope around this. I do suggest it be more paper if you're planning on using this to film with, just so you don't run into the problem that I had. I couldn't get it to position correctly where I wanted it, and so I just decided I could use a new stand. It's always fun to switch things up a little bit. So I'm just gonna apply that. So if you're using this, if you're using the tape, you can probably just go just however it's easier for you and just cover it. I just find that it does make it a little more resistant. I've got lots of little bubbles on mine. So I'm just gonna keep flattening that out and go pulling it little by little so that I don't get very big bubbles in there. So it makes it a little bit easier to smooth out. Well, I forgot to cut off the excess of this. It is easier if you cut this off beforehand. Just measure it and make sure that you've got enough. That way you don't have any extra. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing we did earlier with the paper. We're just gonna cut little slits in this. You can go moving it a little bit as you go. They don't stick together. But just go trimming and getting little by little. You can go tucking that in. That I'm just gonna fold over already. So there's that already, and then we can just, mine I'm just gonna go little by little. That's not, you can do the cutting, like cut the little slits. I'm just gonna make it like that. You do want to make sure that, especially if you're gonna have this in the kitchen, you're gonna want to make sure you cover the bottom, just because you don't want it to get wet and have it rust on your surfaces anywhere. But so there's that. Now what we can do is add our selfie stick in there. If you want it to be removable, you can use a cone from, I use these cones from like the thread from like a sewing machine. So it's just kind of a big spool or a big cone of, when I get those gone, I use them up. If you want your selfie stick to be removable, you can always place it here, and then you can stuff either yarn or pieces of wood or anything to keep that from wobbling around. How we're going to do it today is also not going to be permanent. If you wanted to remove it, you would have to replace everything again, but it shouldn't be that bad. Now I'm just going to be adding my rocks in here. The rocks are very important because that's going to give stability to our selfie stick and help it. It's going to give it a little bit of weight and keep it from falling over. And so it is very important that you have some kind of weight. You could even put clay. If you put clay, obviously it's going to be a little more, it's going to be a little harder just because you're going to get your selfie stick dirty with clay. But so now next I'm just going to take some yarn scraps, and you see I've got a little bit of a hole in there by the selfie stick. I'm just going to take my scissors and stuff that as much as I possibly can, keeping the selfie stick in position. So I'm just going to fill it up as much as I can with some yarn, like so, just some scraps of yarn that I've got here. So just kind of get as much, sorry it's hard to see, but just get as much yarn or whatever it is that you're using in there. There's a little tiny hole right here. I'm going to try to get some yarn in there. Because this is a great yarn scrap eater upper. If you're looking for that, it definitely uses up enough yarn scraps. So you just want to make sure that you've got enough weight in there. And just make sure that your selfie stick's straight. We just want to stuff as much as we can in there so that it doesn't wobble. And just make sure that it's straight. So like I say, this is removable. You can get your selfie stick out at any time, but it does take a little more work than if you're using the cone, because the cone is kind of a little easier to stuff. So if you're gonna do that, you're gonna stuff around this, like you'll put your rocks and everything, and then stuff around that, and then you'll just have this part to stuff when you get your selfie stick out. But yeah, look at all these scraps. It's just lovely to me to see some of these scraps getting used. And they're getting used in something that's going to be useful for me, so it's just nice. You're just going to want to make sure it's as good as you can get it. You can try your phone in there and see if it's the way that you want it to be, and then if not, you can adjust it. And then you'll just fill up with scraps. And mine, what I did was I made this little succulent cactus little plant, and I just made a little spot for it to just tuck in. And then I have also space if I want to put some pins or a needle in there. If I'm going to need something like that while I'm recording, I can just have that there. So, but this is going to be part 2 of the tutorial, and so that's the next little part. But I think that's going to be the end of our video for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. We've got our little stand decorated, and then all that's left is to add something pretty to cover up our little mess that we've got in here, right? So we will learn how to make this part of our DIY selfie stick phone holder. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!